Product Reviews, and today it is the 22nd of December, which means the 22nd door of our 2020 Advent calendar of Christmas horror movies opens. And today I'm switching it up just a little bit. Instead of reviewing a movie, I wanted to pay special attention and review the just recently released Creepshow Holiday Special on Shudder. Now, I have to admit, I have been a big Creepshow fan from the start. I love the movies to death. I'm a big fan of anthologies in general, so they really resonated with me, and they were one of my first experiences with dipping my toes into horror as I was growing up. And then when I found out that Shudder was having a series developed for it, I was apprehensive but optimistic. And it has blown me away. I've been really pleased with it so far. It's been everything that I have loved about the Creepshow movies. Some episodes are not quite as much of a hit as others to me, but on average, I have been enjoying the experience a whole lot. So when I found out that they were doing the holiday special and it just got released, I had to jump on it. I had to watch it. I put aside the movie that I was going to review, and chances are there will be an advent calendar for 2021. Because honestly, I just keep coming up with more Christmas horror movies and I don't have enough time to review them all, so gonna have to shelve them for next year. But regardless, the Creepshow Holiday Special, Shapeshifters Anonymous, written and directed by Greg Nicotero, based on the story by J.A. Conrath. And this starts out by introducing us to the character of Robert Weston, played by Adam Pally, as he is knocking on the door of a secret meeting. He knows the password to get in, but it's an old password. But regardless, he pleads his case. He says, I really need to talk to somebody about my issues right now. I need to be a part of this SA group. And he pleads his case successfully enough that they decide that regardless of the fact that it's an old code, it checks out and they let him in. And that's when they begin talking to each other. And we get introduced to the notion of this SA meeting being Shapeshifters Anonymous, and he believes that he is a werewolf and that he has been attacking people while his shape has changed and so on and so forth. And we get introduced to the concept of these shapeshifters. Apparently, werewolf is a highly desired but somewhat rare opportunity. One person shapeshifts into a cheetah, one into a turtle or a tortoise, one into a pig, and so on and so forth. Now, you might be at this point asking yourself, what the hell does this have to do with Christmas? And you know what? I'm not going to tell you. Because honestly, finding that out was one of the biggest joys of watching this ever, when it just started along those lines of transitioning from the issues that Robert Weston is having with his shape-shifting abilities and how does he cope with it and the meeting and so forth, and it actually shifts into the holiday gear. Things go fucking crazy in the best way possible. Now, this episode clocks in at only 45 minutes long, but it is everything that I love about Creepshow. The extreme odd angles as it focuses in on somebody telling a story, the sudden and abrupt changeover of the lighting scheme from a natural hue to bright, bathing magentas and pinks and so forth, with somebody's face contrasting against the background. All of this extreme fun filming style, and that is honestly one of the big aspects of this, is fun. Creepshow has always tread that fine line very well, in my opinion, between treating its source material with enough seriousness and reverence that it doesn't turn into full-on satire, while also having just an absurd amount of wackadoo fun with it. And this is no exception. This is a perfect example of that fun level of atmospheric jovialness and reveling in practical effects that Creepshow brings to the table. That's not to say that I thought it was perfect. I honestly think that the first half of it drags a little bit, but I also think that that kind of serves very well for that upward chain ride up the roller coaster before it starts its downward descent into just absolute chaotic madness. But even so, it was a bit draggy. Additionally, I hate to pick nits, and it wasn't really that prevalent, but I did notice it, and you know what? I hate it so much, I'm going to call it out when I do see it. CGI blood. This was an episode, like a lot of Creepshow features, that really focused a lot on practical effects, and hats off to it for it. Not quite so great with the metamorphosis stuff. A lot of it was kind of just camera fakery as far as just kind of flipping an angle and having somebody already be changed, things like that. But regardless, the CGI blood, I've never really been able to get around. That kind of level of digital splatter never appears right. I've never seen it done really well, or at the very least, if I have, I've never noticed it. So I guess I'm just calling out noticeable CGI blood. I'm sure there's been instances in which I've seen CGI blood that I didn't realize was CGI. And okay, so that's fine. But this was noticeable. I got to call it out. So taking all of that into account, I would say that I absolutely recommend this episode. It is definitely worth the 45-minute time investment to watch it. If you don't have Shudder, I'm not going to say that this episode is the one and only reason you should enlist for a subscription. However, it is an excellent streaming service, especially for the buck. U.S. residents, it's $56.99 a year, and it's just loaded with content. It's something that I highly recommend. If you're a horror lover and Shudder is available to you, I highly, highly recommend it. And I'm not just saying that because I desperately want to get in on their screeners, but I do mean it from the bottom of my heart. It is a great service. So I think that should about wrap this up. I really thank you for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow as we close in on this advent calendar. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.